Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting from the Pinos Palace just west of Orlando, Florida. I am in the Extreme Studios with RDV from the Great Midwest. Joining me tonight as we review Jason Statham's 2026 movie, Shelter, as opposed to Rolling Stones' Give Me Shelter, because, some people want the concert RDV and some people want the movie. I'll say this for my initial take. I just got done watching it a few days ago, is that I've come to understand, and I mentioned this before when we recently reviewed the Transporter and Transporter 2. We'll complete the trilogy at some point, I imagine, soon. I have no problem with Jason Statham recycling, for the most part, the same movie over and over again, just looking for a variation on a theme. The one thing that stuck out for me with this movie, actually, there's two main things. One, I kind of like the way it looked, and I'll talk more about that here shortly. Taking that aside, this movie's functional. It works like a lot of his movies, some more than others. I just feel part of the bigger discussion, maybe, I don't know how you see it, RDV, is that I felt like this could have been a much better movie and greater movie, and I'll explain why as we go through it. And I just feel like somehow, you know, love seeing the same
Well,
thing over and over again. But this just felt like I don't want to sound like I'm disappointed in the movie, because I felt like they could have done a lot more things with it to make it a lot better. But I'll mention some of those things as I see it, because I felt like this movie was like almost like could have been awesome instead of just decent.
I'm trying to remember what the movie he had last year. Was it
Beekeeper.
no Beekeeper? No, in between Beekeeper, and there was one where he has to go rescue the girl. She's trafficked.
Right, right. At the beginning, and he's diving off into the waters from the giant shipping lanes and stuff. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But you know what? You're gonna completely forget that because it's not memorable.
Actually, yeah. So it was a Working Man, and it is memorable because this movie is kind of similar to Working Man in a sense.
No, you don't
And
say.
also like Beekeeper. Also like I believe the other one was Safe and a few others where he best. Basically, this is no Jason Statham is no stranger to doing high octane movies, but also doing movies where he has to protect a girl. Homefront was another one,
Hmm.
with his daughter. And so if you saw basically Working Man last year, Jason Statham basically has to go. He works as a construction crew. He's secretly an ex special ops guy, and he's just keeping his head low until his boss's daughter gets kidnapped by these gangsters. In this one, he's a former MI6 secret black op, basically elite program, a Jason Bourne that went rogue and refused to kill and faked his own death with the help of the guy who created this program called Thea, which is basically the Eagle Eye. Do you
Yes,
remember Eagle Eye movie that predicts,
absolutely.
what you're gonna do? And
The eye in the
yeah,
sky.
yep, Eye in the Sky. And he's been all these years, past 10 years, he's been hiding out at this lighthouse, which I love the lighthouse part of his movie. Um, just everything about it, it's remote location. It's an authentic lighthouse. It's not just like a prop set. It's actually at the film on location there.
Hmm.
Um, so he's been hiding off grid with his dog, his best boy, and just every month, this girl and her uncle comes on a tugboat, and she gets on a rowboat, and she goes and she's supposed to drop off the crate. Not supposed to talk to him whatsoever, but she's been leaving his presence. And then the second time she comes back, she knocks on the door. He's irritated, and you're kind of like the girl's kind of like, okay, well, she has no idea who this guy's name is, as we find out later.
Hmm.
And but all she knows is her uncle says he can deliver stuff, and she's kind of pissed off. He's ungrateful. So the second time she goes to drop off the stuff, her uncle tells her to come back in. There's gale storms coming in, and you go winds. You need to get back in there. And as she takes her time, goes up there, knocks on the door, and he tells her, "Go away. Don't ever knock on my door again." And she's all kind of get hissy fit. She's probably like 13, 14.
Hmm.
Where kids know that they know better, and so she doesn't, instead of following the rules, she breaks the rules because I deserve answers. And so she goes back to the rowboat. The high winds come up. She capsizes her uncle's boat goes under, capsizes too. The dog whines, and the good dog, he goes out there. So Jason Statham runs out there. He jumps onto his boat, slides it into the water, instantly starts the propeller, because that happens perfectly if you're a good mechanic. It starts every time. And he goes over there. Then he jumps out he sees her under the water. Her foot's caught in the rope. And he sees her, he looks over and sees her uncle, who pretty much, if you've seen the movie White Squall, where you're trapped inside the boat, you can't get out, well, he was already drowned. Yeah. But still, that's always haunted me, where the guy couldn't get his wife out of the cabin as it sinks down.
Yes.
Oh, no, thank you. That's why I'll never go on boats. So he ends up getting her out there. The next morning, she wakes up in his bed, and she looks at him and saying she knows her ankle's kind of swollen, and she's like she wants answers. So where's my uncle? He's pretty kind of like thinks about it, but he says straight up, cold stone, hey, your uncle's dead. And she's like, did you call anybody? Call the police, And he kind of like brushes it off. And this girl is freaking out. I've just been abducted by this guy. I don't know anything about him whatsoever. And she's all confused. She's hurt. We find out later that her mother died of cancer a few months ago. Mm-hmm. So the only person she has now is Jason Statham. And she doesn't know his name. She doesn't trust him. While he goes out to grab something, from his shed, she hobbles over and grabs a knife from inside his drawer and puts it under her pillow. And then it's like from there on, the movie just gets a little bit entertaining for me. It's not I'd say this is a lot better than Working Man.
Yes.
Working Man was so unbelievably, it was just beyond belief. But in here, though, it's basically Jason Statham is being an expert assassin, so he's able to shoot with any gun, sure, and stab people using breaking off champagne glasses, stab people in the neck, and just fantastic. We even get another agent, the newer you. If those who've seen Logan, where they had the clone version of Logan, the younger version, chasing after him. This is kind of similar, but on a clone. It's just a guy who's not the new version of him, because they built all these group of black ops people to hunt them down. And meanwhile, MI6 is made to be like just how stupid idiots there, because we got the main guy, what's his name, actor here, Bill Nighy, Manafort, who's Mason's former handler, is actually been spying on MI6, and even with the M, Moneypenny, whatever we call it here, was his boss telling him, hey, retire. But still, yeah. And so it's like one of those movies where they make fun of the government and how stupid they are. And you have a secret government operation, Black Ops, that wants to kill this guy because he didn't kill the guy because he didn't want to let this guy get screwed over by the MI6. They use him to help him build a bomb, and then they were supposed to kill him. But he's like, well, you lied to him, cheat him. So it's one of those one and done movies.
Yeah,
I'll probably never go back and watch it. But for the most part, though, the killing is awesome here. The shooting, the foot chases, the car chase, especially in the cart when they have the police car, and then just go to. It's like basically if you ever seen off-road rally racing.
Well,
that's what it was.
You can only do like so many things that maybe like you haven't seen before, and sometimes it's the execution or just the location, right? So sometimes things hit and miss them. That's fine. I think for me, I want to say this is a compliment, but also is a negative. I want to say it as both. I'm going to have my cake and eat it too. Damn it! It's my party, and I'll snub who I want to. That's right. Yeah. This movie feels big. I like it. I don't love it, but I get frustrated with the Statham movies, and generally speaking, because unless they're lowbrow camp or goofy stuff like other stuff that we've covered here for, like Crank, for example, then to me, I look at this and I go, I felt this movie could have been awesome if they did a bit more, because one, he's middle aged, he keeps in shape, he's got that classic British kind of look.
He's also a swimmer.
Yeah, well, I love the fact that he has that classical British middle-aged look that we don't see a lot of people doing. With most of the actors that we do now are like the intellectual types, where he's more the rugged type. The way it was set, though, the setting here with the lighthouse and the girl and the dog. The setting is unbelievable. It's just I wanted. Here's how I would say. I wanted the entire movie to be a slow, gradual build up until the third act, and I wanted everything to take place on that little island with the girl and perhaps the dog. Now he doesn't really. Here's where they kind of fail on some of the stuff, though, and this is where I feel let down. Like the dog's a beautiful dog, natural dog. I mean, not CGI. Of course, when the hit squad comes on and attacks on, they shoot the dog and they kill it or whatever. But they didn't show him doing anything with the dog, like bonding. They just showed him getting shit faced when the girls come in and not talking to her or whatever. And I actually thought too, it's very difficult, I think, with the girl. And I was going to ask you this: is that when you have kids, sometimes it's hit or miss. I really liked her and thought she was fine because the way you described her, if anybody hadn't seen the movie, they might think, oh, she's being kind of bitchy and this and that. I think she was totally believable in a role and the reactions of and everything else there too. It worked, right?
Yeah, her being bitchy like this, that's how kids
scared.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Angry,
I thought they could just let that simmer a little bit. Maybe maybe they have a difficult time getting off the land or something like that, or when they go to do it, then people come up or something. Then he tells her the story. Then another wave of people come up because evil old guy that's got the stupid little 10-cent camera in the air vent in the middle of MI6, one of the most secure buildings in the world, so he can spy on people.
I mean, they're not American, so they're not that secure.
Yeah, right. But you know what I'm saying, right? It was just kind of like a bit of a letdown, the story, even though we know what the story is. Because look, let's be honest, everybody's heard of MI6. Everybody's heard of a lot of these other types of things. There's nothing new or cool about it. It's
to be fair, though,
okay.
We've seen MI6 be tampered with before in the Bond movies, so it's nothing really new on Hollywood.
Right.
Doing this. But as far as him with the dog, like the Bonnie stuff, you kind of it's already established that they've been there for the past whatever how many years he's been living there, and the dog is basically trained. He tells it sit, so it sits and stays behind. The dog also alerts of a danger at least twice.
Of course, yeah.
What I liked about this, the dog even gets a chance to attack one of the guys and bites him. Of course, the dog, though, if you're a dog lover, this is probably a movie you want to pass on. If you can't get past that. The dog takes to the gut and passes away and dies.
Yeah.
And the girl and the guy, he's protecting the girl who's hiding in basically the bathroom. And
yeah.
But I like this because this is kind of like remembering an 80s movie where the good guy, like Matrix, no one could stop him. He's unstoppable, and you're able to just defeat these goons, rent-a-cop. So I kind of like this a little bit in that sense.
Well, some of the scenes are pretty good. Like when they connect a couple things together that have to do with the story rather than just having like a big shootout. I like those better. Like there's a scene where even though he has to go to town to get medicine because the girl's foot's infected, he should have backup. Let's be honest. But whatever. The point in the story is so he could get spotted, even though there's cameras and all that. So whatever. I'm letting that go. But when he and the girl actually make it to shore, and he's got the hookup, and he goes and he has to basically steal the one guy's car, but he doesn't want to kill him. And his son comes in and then calls the cops and all that. And the way he navigated all that was kind of tense. And I thought this movie, and bear with me here with what I'm describing, because this may sound like blasphemy because it's Statham. I felt this movie could have been a bit more of just a drama or a thriller rather than an action film. Not that Jason certainly can't pull that stuff off, but when you get pictures of how beautiful the setup here was, all that, I thought, wow, they could have had him fishing. They could have had the girl like helping out. They could have had them walking along the coast while telling the story about where they're at and everything else there, and how your father that I worked for was this and that, and let that be tells for when the bad people come in to assault them, that they see that rather than just run.
This is very 90s thriller action movies. Like The Firm or other stuff like that. It's slow paced, purposely designed that way.
It was almost like a spy movie, almost.
Yeah, it's
and I think it was best when it laid into that, creeping around and doing stuff. That was when it was really good, especially when you got the girl with them.
In the very opening, or not the other opening scenes, but in that first hour before we even get to the car chase, before they even leave out of the boat, basically the guy, because he gets caught, on camera by a kid's smartphone, so they recognize it, they flag him, they think he's a terrorist because somebody changed his profile on there.
That was kind of cool.
So he goes back to the boat and then they're having spaghetti, and the girl's like, this is way better than porridge. He's like, I beg to differ. Kind of make a little joke there. The dog alerts of the danger, sees the guys coming on the boat, the SWAT team coming on there. So the way he takes them out, because he has different traps, he turns the floods on us so they can't see with their night vision, which I thought was hilarious. Their reactions, like, son of a bitch. It's like, and then he knocks the boulder down, cutting the rope. And you're like, what's the boulder for? So that falls on one guy. But then there's also a rope that comes out of the sand, pulls one guy into the ocean and drowns him. Yeah. I thought that was like, oh my gosh. But then so it goes in and he starts attacking the guy in the. And here's the thing: he's not even using a handgun. That's how deadly this guy is. He doesn't need to use a handgun. you know. And so basically, it goes in the boathouse, kills a guy there, and he basically throws a meat hook, and pulls him up by that. So the next guy comes in, he's hiding behind the barrels there. Comes that guy, they have a little fight, C2QC, whatever fight, takes that guy out. And then he sees a girl being chased, so he grabs the guy's rifle and then shoots the guy in the leg. So he falls down, and then the guy's like, "Oh, what the heck?" He shoots him in the head. And the girl's all freaking out. It's like, "What the heck's going on?" He's like, "Stay right here." And she's like, "What?" He goes in, sees the dog's dead, grabs some things, and then he's like, and she goes back to Bone. The girl's like, "What about Jack?" He's like, "The dog's dead." It's like apparently she didn't notice the dog laying on its side when she was being carried out. They didn't pay attention because she was too scared. But having the dog be killed off right immediately, I was like, after she bonds with it, I was like, "Oh, you bastards!"
Well, that's my point. Like I say, if they'd kept it, here's the whole thing: you got a British guy, you got a British girl. They're on the Scottish Isles, or Isle of Man or wherever, somewhere around there, right? And it looks so fantastic. I thought, man, the whole British thing behind this could have been moving. It could have been like a little dichotomy, the old British versus the new British, or whatever you want to call it, right? The old ways versus the new ways, the young versus the old. Like he could show her how to do some stuff, and maybe she was raised by her father as a hunter, or something, and maybe she helps out in her own way too. Maybe she's in the lighthouse shooting people while he's on the ground taking them out and they're communicating or something.
I don't want Leon the professional.
I'm not saying that. Then that's different. That's a whole different vibe.
Well, no, I'm not saying that vibe. What that was, I'm just saying the fact that he shows her how to do this. He showed her how to hold a knife, and later on he showed her how to use a gun. It's very simple. Right. But he don't see her training and her firing the gun stuff because he doesn't want her to be killer. He doesn't want her to be like him. He's a reformed guy. That's why he's not going and trying to kill people at first using guns, and not until later on when he realizes he has to.
I understand it. And like I say, it's visually, it's a good looking film. It feels great. It does feel like an 80s, 90s kind of film. You're absolutely right.
He's also trying to ditch the girl as fast as he can because he doesn't want attachments. Attachments get him killed. He even says this. So when he goes, they go into town. Yeah, he wants to get.
Okay, but what's his life? It's getting shit faced and eating porridge.
Because
that's a death sentence. He needs her to live again.
Yes, he does need her to live again. But I'm saying before this, getting shit-faced, eating porridge stuff, he probably has PTSD, man. All the people he's killed. And he wonders, how many people did he kill that were actually good people, Because you wonder about it.
They could have done something with that, too, yeah. No, like I say, they played it safe, which isn't a bad thing. Yeah. It works. It's just when I saw these opening shots and everything that we're describing, even when they, like I said...
I love the lighthouse. But I don't want to watch a lighthouse movie, I'm glad they kind of moved away from it after, Mm-hmm. But it makes sense for someone who is basically trying to hide. We saw this in the Mechanic 2, where he was basically he was offshore in off country by the Bahamas. He's forced to come into that. But you're right though. He should have had medicine, because I was thinking about too. It's like it's a good thing he didn't have a freaking tennis ball in there. The dog would have killed him. He would have broke his ankle.
I know, right? Well, what I'm saying. I kind of was thinking, how Netflix and Amazon make these horrible movies with big budgets and the writing's trash and it's whatever and nothing is really funny and the bad people aren't funny. They just talk like this. I thought, Statham needs to make fun of everybody else and do his own version of Austin Powers, where like, okay, instead of being in a tower like he was here, kind of hiding in the lighthouse and all that, he needs to be squatting in like a middle-class neighborhood. And, maybe he's like the donut guy or something, get along with all the people on the street, and then something happens. There's so much you could do with him because he has that straight-faced demeanor that we're so used to seeing. We like it. But he's got a sense of humor, and we don't get that here in his film, which I'm thankful for. But, yeah, I just liked it more of a period piece and, outdoorsy rather than some of the more suburban stuff that he's done lately. It's just... I don't know, man. It just, like I said, this movie's good, but I just felt like there could have been a lot better. And I can't say that about a lot of his films. They are, like you said at the beginning, they are what they are. And sometimes they're just like a one shot and that's it.
Yeah. So this was a box office failure, flop, like most movies coming out these days, but not as bad. It had a budget 50 and it only made 42 million back. So versus, well, the ones are like way bigger budgets than that. But, yeah, this is also a UK movie. I believe it is was in UK, came out a week before, and then it came out here in January this year. This is a little bit different than most of his vehicle he normally does, and this is the director of the movie Snitch from 2013.
Okay.
The guy also worked on Rick Roman Raw. He's a stuntman. He also worked on Felon 2008, Shot Caller in 2017, and he also wrote and directed Angels Fallen, the third installment of the Fallen series.
That makes sense with some of the scenes that we've seen there.
Yeah, yes.
Like the siege, to get them off of it when they had to run. Interesting.
Yep. So then, of course, having Bill Nye here was pretty cool. I liked him that. Naomi Ackie, she's she's in the show called The End of the Fucking World, with the TV show. And then Master of None, and she was also in Rise of the Skywalker and some of those stuff. She's a fairly new kind of actress. I was looking to see if there's anybody else in here. Harriet Welter plays a prime minister. She's an English actress. She's all over war. Doesn't really say much what she's done, but over for this, like I said, for this movie, this felt like it was like you're watching a Skydance movie, made for TV movie, directly cable. It wasn't even really in theaters, It's kind of, it's okay. It's not the best. Like I said, Jason Statham has never really had a huge following as a single lead star, other than the Transporter films in the back in the day, and I think maybe Crank. After that, he kind of dwindled down a little bit, especially when he started doing Expendables with Stallone. He kind of fell into that rut where, okay, that's what you're going to do now. If you're just going to do all the chuckles and laughs. I liked him in Parker. I think that was the one with was it Eva Mendes, or is it? I'm thinking of someone else.
For which film?
Parker.
Oh, I forget who that is, honestly.
I know he did an Italian Job, but Parker was his other movie he did. Let me see if that came out in Jennifer Lopez. That was the Jennifer Lopez one, 2013. I
don't remember her at all.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
She was a con artist, and they were working together. He also did the Bank Job. That was another one too. Blitz, Killer Elite. I'd say this probably falls in the movie with that. The quality. If you remember Blitz from 2011, and then you also had Killer Elite came out at the same time. Those are kind of like straight this DVD movies, almost blockbuster shelf walls, and that's kind of what I look at this. Also, like in The Name of the King or Death Race, this isn't you're what you're going to get, a quick quality. It's still better than Meg, but I can still laugh at the Meg because of how stupid the Meg is. But for being a Jason Statham film, I don't hold it to a higher standard like most other films, because he's never been that high quality of a standalone actor in films.
I go, if he's giving me an action guy, okay, that's fine too. But it's like what I've said about Scott Adkins. Guy's good looking, got a nice physique, can do all the moves and everything too. He's got an incredible move set, but that's how it all puts together. And even some of the smaller ones of his martial arts movies, Scott Adkins, I'm talking about here, that I've seen, there's something lacking. I'm not saying charisma, I'm not saying acting ability, but just they're well put together movies. They're watchable. I certainly don't have any issue with them. I'm glad that they exist, just like Statham. But it's kind of like if you ever like maybe you can play a song or two on a guitar or something like that, and you think, okay, I know I'm not a great guitarist, but I can play. But then somebody takes your guitar and says, yeah, let me try something out, and you're like, holy fuck, that came out of my guitar. And I just look at him and I go, he's probably a B guy, maybe above average to me, but I feel like all his movies are like around C minus, C plus, maybe occasional B minus.
His biggest movie was Transporter.
Okay, but why do you think that is?
Well, it is because I look at the other movies since then. We just reviewed Revolver. That wasn't much better.
What makes Transporter, the first movie, special?
Transporter, because when people ask you Jason Statham, most people say, "Oh, a Transporter guy."
The Transporter guy, exactly. The guy.
That's why.
And they associated with him.
Because it was something to do other than having, because at that time, remember, we didn't really have a James Bond. We had James Bond, we had Pierce Brosnan, but Jason Statham came out of nowhere. Also, we get this guy who's kind of like a British action guy. We had Mission Impossible, but before that, Jason Statham was in movies like Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels,
British
Snatch, Ghost of Mars. The One, and then 2002, all of a sudden he's like in Transporter, and then he does Italian Job where he's handsome Rob, or like a kind of a cute cameo. But then he's in movies like Collateral, uncredited with Tom
That was
Cruise.
a great scene.
Cellular, he pops up in there.
Cellular was good.
By 2005, we get Transporter 2 again. And then he does a couple other movies called London, and he also does Chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Chaos was another one with Wesley Snipes and Ryan Phillippe. And then all of a sudden he's in Pink Panther. Like, what the heck? And then he goes to Crank, and then we get another dud called War by 2007 with Jet Li.
Jet Li, yeah.
Yeah, and that was it's Jet Li, but it was a dud movie. Then he comes back with a Bank Job. That was a good one too. He's kind of that was where he screwed over. They all robbed the bank, but his friends and buddies screwed him over, so now he's trying to get revenge against them.
Right.
He does. Then he does a fantasy movie, In the Name of the King, which was okay. Death Race, which is basically a remake of the Harry Carradine movie.
Mm-hmm.
But then he starts popping in Transporter 3, and I was like, okay, this is getting weird, But it's then by 2000, like he does Crank High Voltage the year later, 2009, and then he does Expendables 2010, and all of a sudden you're like, what's going on here? Like, well, he's in Expendables, okay, we'll give this a chance because Expendables I thought was the best of all of them, the first one.
Yeah.
He does Mechanic a year later. But all of a sudden he does Blitz and Killer Elite. And like, well, he's going back to these kind of like these weird like movies that shouldn't be in theaters. And then he did Safe in 2012. The way he protects the kid, the Chinese kid. Yeah. And then the Expendables 2 the same year. And then all of a sudden we have Parker, Fast and Furious 6, Homefront. And all these movies he's doing are kind of like bland. Mechanic Resurrection. That Jessica Alba was probably the best part. I think it was probably that. I think she was there.
Oh, she's a horrible actress, though.
And that was 2016. 2017, Fade. He's on Fast Furious again, too. Little cameo. But then he says The Meg, 2018. You're like, what is going on here? Then another Fast and Furious movie, 2019. Wrath of Man, which was actually a step back in the right direction, 2021. And then you see him in Meg 2, Fast X, Operation Fortune, which was okay movie. But then he's also done Expendables that year, and then we finally, I think probably the first time we actually got a good movie since the original Transporter was The Beekeeper, which came out in 2024. Then we get a Working Man last year. Now we're back up to Shelter, and apparently he's doing next year another Beekeeper sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some movie called Jason Statham Stole My Bike, which is in production. I'm looking at
Are you serious?
Yes. And Viva La Madness. And there's one called Mutiny. But Lionsgate. So you see he's doing all these direct and DVD movies, and that's kind of his career has always been. His
movies, he's been in a lot of big franchises. He's a great guy to have in a lot of these things, and he fits. It just seems like all these movies are like lateral movies, like you don't see him like peaking up to where he's overachieved or over whatever. And it's interesting because when I think of the Transporter, what made it successful, I go, yes, there was a Euro, some people like to call it Euro trash vibe to it, Euro kind of slick vision to it. Okay, that's one thing. But I think it was Corey Yoon that did the fight scenes, which were very memorable and unique. Each of them, we talked about that. That's true. But what also made it stood out, it was a character we've kind of seen before, but what was the twist on it? Okay. He's very polite, he's very charming in a British way, quiet way, and he has those 3 rules, which he kind of, for the most part in the first movie, it kind of works, and of course the problem against it, right? And it doesn't take itself too seriously, it knows what it is. But there's hardly been any movie he's done since then where I think the writer said, yeah, we don't need to bother making it as good as Transporter, right? This will be good enough. And that's unfortunately what I feel like, say, with some of these films is like, if you don't have this emotional anchor to it, I don't care how good the guy is, that's fine. And it just doesn't always work a lot. I don't know.
I'll get flack for this in my personal little, and be warned, guys, you're getting a hot take here from me. Alarm's going off. Hot take has been detected. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think he's the same quality actor as Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan only had James Bond to help push his career up. But you look at Pierce Brosnan in between those movies, Butterfly on a Wheel, Married Life, Seraphim Falls, Mamma Mia, After the Sunset,
I liked
Long,
After the Sunset, bro. I really like that movie.
Laws of
That's a fun
Attraction.
movie.
I'd say, like, looking at his movie outside, you take all the James Bond movies out, Thomas Crown Affair, and you look at Dante's Peak,
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh,
and then you look at I'm looking at some of the other movies like The Lawnmower Man, 1992. Then he's the Stew in Mrs. Doubtfire, the guy is trying to steal it. Mars Attacks.
everybody
Yeah,
loved Mars Attacks. That
yeah,
was funny, though.
yeah. But I mean, like, I'm looking at his other movies. Like The Matador, which is
Matador
2005.
was pretty good. Matador
But
was pretty good.
but
You want to see a little bit of a different Pierce Brosnan, you go watch The Matador, because you're right. He has to play a pretty role, basically.
yeah,
And he's just so good.
peak Pierce Brosnan for me was The November Man. I like that movie.
There's a show I started watching that has him and I think Thomas Hardy in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about like Irish gangsters or whatever, and he looks really fucking old, and he is in his 70s, but the way he's dressed and all that, and he's pretty freaking violent. I only got like an episode or two in, and I put that on pause while I've been watching other stuff. I might go back to it.
Well, your boy, what movie's coming out this year? It's in post production. Cliffhanger, Lily James and Pierce Brosnan, the reboot
Of Cliffhanger?
Yes.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's Leo James. I think Leo James would be the girl that falls. I don't know. But Pierce Brosnan is the guy is in that movie. So yeah, that's come out. And but I'm looking at other King of Kings. He just did that. That was a Easter thing kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But he just did Black Bag. That was another one he just did. But I said, like, I look at Pierce Brosnan. I said, you take him outside of those couple role James Bond, which everybody knows him for. Pierce Brosnan, James Bond.
Yep.
That's and it's not a knock on his character. It's just like these actors are not the big name actors. The only one I could say that probably is done well for British actors is in Sean Connery.
Well, I think part of that is because
good writers, good directors.
Yeah, you start off with Bond, kinda, and he did some other stuff too, Alfred Hitchcock film or two, and other things, and so he was a legitimate bodybuilder. Yeah, he just
Outlander.
His legend grew, and there was an expectation of that. So I know that action guys don't get quite the cachet that other actors from the theater do, right? Especially the British guys. But I still rather have Jay Statham going around kicking some ass than watching some like 140-pound Spider-Man guy that doesn't even look like the role. You know what I'm saying? Even though people may love him, I can't buy it. I can buy it with Statham, and I go, I feel like he's got a lot more left in the tank. And I'm not meaning this is next way. He does what he does, and he does it well.
I misspoke.
He's been continuous with it, but it's tough. There's not that many that are out there.
Sean Connery is Scottish, not British.
That's right.
That's why he was in the best movie ever made, Highlander. But I'm looking at actors like I'm thinking like today you can't really say there's not many good movies today, but I think there's not that many good actors. But I was looking at Sean Connery he was in the movie The Untouchables. His role in that, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Hunt for Red October.
Find roles that made him.
Yeah.
He got older, right?
Yep.
And he was in his 40s when he finished with Bond. So think about that. In the 70s, he was in Outland, in 1980, which is a great film, actually, Western in space. We've reviewed it here on the Extreme Movie Show. Check it out. But it only grew in the 80s, not just because he came back and did another Bond that was considered not canon. It's a remake of Thunderball called Never Say Never Again in 1983. It's the only time two Bond movies came out in the same year. Roger Moore also came out. I think it was Octopussy. But he just started doing action movies and other things. And so he found as he got older, these roles that would fit. And I'm telling you, when that Indiana Jones movie came out, seeing it live, bro, I'm telling you, people were like, oh, we love Harrison Ford, right? We've had 10, 15 years of Harrison Ford, right? But then you get Sean Connery as his dad, and he's every bit as equal, if not sometimes superior, and all that. You're like, Sean's got it. And him and Clint Eastwood both in the 90s started in a bunch of films that you're like, man, these old guys, there's a place for them, right? I think Statham's at the point where hopefully he can mature into some other types of roles too, because I think he's great with the action. I want him to keep it up, but we said it about Jackie Chan. When are you going to start playing the one where you're like the teacher? Because you got to at this point, you're old, you're getting broken down. It happens, a lot of injuries and stuff. I complain about not a lot of action people coming up these days, but also think about everything else that's associated with it. Who knows how to write a good action film?
Anthony, I haven't seen a lot of Michael Caine movies. I just know he's in the one with Demi Moore.
No, Michael Caine was a bit of a bastard in his career. I mean, he'd been out for a long time. I know he's like a guy that just does like side stuff, and he's fine with that. And I think he's about 85, 90 now. He's up there. And people know him from the Batman movies and everything too. But no, he was the original Carter and Get Carter. He was a bad motherfucker. I'm telling you, he really was.
Yeah.
And he was a lot more hardcore. But even in the 80s, his role softened when he was in Jaws, 3 or 4, whatever it was. I think shot here in Orlando. And then he did, was he in a Piranha movie too? Something, B movie. And then he did, huh?
I can't remember.
No, but he did some of that stuff, and then he did Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, and people liked him for that. And ever since then, it was pretty much softer roles, right?
Well, yeah, Austin Powers, he was in Batman Begins and stuff, as Alfred. But wasn't he also in that movie when we watched with Gene Hackman, the war movie, Bridge Too Far, or was it? I think it was that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Or it wasn't him; it was a different guy. I thought he was in there, but yeah.
Was Sean Connery and someone else? Peter O'Toole, maybe?
Peter O'Toole. I'm just trying to think of the guy who was in the tank, the captain, the one that was helping all. That was driving the little Jeep thing, the armored thing.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that's him. But I'm guessing Starry Night that you're Ed Brewer, or you're just a guy named Ed. Yeah, Michael Caine was not
Edible Brewer, sir.
Edible Brewer. Nah, I don't want to eat Ed. I'm good. No, too much calories. No, but as far as this movie goes, I would say this is a $5 basically Walmart bin buy. If I'm not pay $20 for it. If you want to go watch in theater, that's probably the best experience for you. But like I said, you're gonna pay money for this, and you might not like it as much as you want to. But going like I always say when Jason Statham movies comes out, I go into it knowing it's a Jason Statham movie. I'm not. I don't hate it going into it, but I know that it's not gonna be like over the top, like Jason Bourne, high octane explosions. You're gonna get Jason doing what he does. He's gonna fight people. He's gonna outsmart them. He's gonna shoot them in the head, and meanwhile arguing with a child.
When we did our action review of Reacher, we both liked the seasons to various degrees or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't like how they're really trying to stretch the universe out and not focusing on him as an individual and having teams and all that. I did make the comment about how the episodes, I think, are like $10 to $15 million an episode, and it takes forever to film them. And even though they look like they're movie quality rise with the way film you can do today, and there's action in it, which is great, I just go, holy shit. I mean, I just feel like you could do more. And a recent example of old people and young people that can still work is recently started watching season 2 of Monarch, the Apple TV show with the kaijus in it, right? And the guy that's running it is Legacy the guy Monsters. He's done the more recent ones there too. I don't know if his name was Chris Wright or something. So it's not like it's a newbie or a young person. It's somebody that's done some of the stuff. And I go, I'm going to see Godzilla because it's Godzilla and there's various quality levels of it. But nobody I talk to gives a shit about anything else except for Kurt Russell and the Son and the older storyline because there's a human component and it's interesting. And when it's all you got a beautiful woman that was in Shogun that was a really big hit and all that, but just the way the present character's written, you don't fucking care about any of them. There's nothing to like at all. And the writing is just trash. And this thing's 10 to 15 million an episode. That's like an individual film and the quality sucks.
Well, I want to go back and give them the shot. I've been seeing, that they finally got the characters all on one page instead of them being separate stories. And then they're trying to aid and assist Godzilla. That's the whole point of Monarch. Godzilla could help them with them and also deal with the monsters. It actually looks interesting. Now, whether it is, it sounds like you're saying it's not that entertaining. But then again, you have a higher standard for entertainment than I do.
I do.
Yeah. So I may like it. I don't know. I tried watching Shrinking. I got about 3 or 4 episodes in. It's a decent show, but it's one of the shows like if I just stop watching one time, I'll forget about it and I won't go back to it. That doesn't mean I don't hate it. It just means it's one of those shows it's not high on my list,
Right.
And
I understand it too, but thankfully the episodes are only like 30, 35 minutes, right?
That's what it's probably gonna go back and watch it more because they're only 30-minute episodes. And I like Jason Segel, isn't it? Yeah. But their actions are great on that. But as far as this movie goes, I said, one of the things I've always liked about Reacher, which is similar to this movie, is you have a guy who's a very aggressive and shown aggressive, just easily dismantling and just beating the shit out of people. this movie, you get that too.
Mhm.
There's the bad guy who's been basically sent down to track down and kill him by Bill Nye, and so at the very end, after he sends a girl, basically gets paperwork for her to get trafficked over to Spain, keep her
Mhm.
safe. Those two have a fight on the basically on the pier, and it's one of the baddest things. I actually got a little chub around here. I'm sitting here, got a little excited. Is when Jason them, they're fighting, and Jason grabs the chain off the ground, the 16-inch like freaking chain or diameter, like, or at least like a 2 or 3 inch diameter.
Yeah.
Picks it up, wraps it around, and then starts basically like whipping at the guy. The guy gets knocked into the crate, and then he hits a pipe, breaks it off, and they start fighting. Jason gets a hand up and out, and then he grabs the chain and wraps. And after whips, the guy comes out and wraps it on the pipe, and then the guy's already on kind of knocked out, and Jason's like, "Let me wrap up on the chain or on the pipe," and he swings the pipe on the chain and hits the guy and just breaks his head.
It was confusing.
I was like, finally. And it's like, because I was like, I was like, if that guy gets back up, I'm out. I'm quitting. But I was telling you about Reacher. I said, Reacher, you're a big dude. I want to see you dismantle guys shoving their heads in the wall and splat. And I want that, because if you're showing me that this guy is he's just not gonna fight anybody because they're too small, or he's gonna use guns. No, I want Reacher's big. I want him using his fist, and I want him dismantling people. He doesn't need to use a gun.
And that's the whole point. He's a force of nature. I mean, and it's not even. Reacher's basically like a Nordic god, blonde hair, kind of blue eyes. I think it is, 250, whatever it is, massive, 6'3", 6'4", whatever. And he drinks a lot of coffee and he likes to eat pie, and he goes from town to town, and he gets kind of caught up in stuff. And I love that. It sounds like a simple idea, but the writer for the Reacher's Lee Child, he every once a year would like just go for like a month on his own, go to some state here in the U.S. and just
crime reports and stuff.
Yeah, that was kind of, and I like, it's a simple, easy tale. It's the structure's not unique. We've certainly seen that before in a lot of shows and movies, but there was something about this character things. Beekeeper. If you don't even remember what the movie's about, you go, oh well, he keeps bees.
Trained assassin,
But then what did they do with the beekeeper? They associated the biological structure, the ecosystem that bees live into.
This was
with how their system went. So there's a little crossover there. That was a little different, interesting flavor to yet another assassin movie that he played.
The best way to describe this is John Wick. If John Wick was taking care of a kid after they kill his dog, and now he's got to protect the girl and take down the bad guys at the same time.
I just thought if they on the island, bro, if with the dog and with the girl, it would have made it more of a challenge. It could have made it more creative. And they could have done all of that.
So wave after wave of bad guys coming on the island, and then just doing a Robinson Crusoe and taking him out.
Something like that. I know it sounds kind of.
I wanted a little more violence. I wanted a bamboo pit, so when the guys go in there, they just get stabbed, and you see that going through the neck. Give me some more. Give me some of that. Give me some apocalyptic.
You know what would have been different? Instead of the beautiful seawater and the storms, have that in the middle of a fucking winter storm during the day, where there's snow everywhere out there, and it's really fucking hard, and the guys are walking out and they see like footsteps in the snow or something, and then they got to do it. That would have been badass.
One of the best things I love
in the snow attacking somebody. Come on, bro.
One of the best things I've always said in cinema is when Rambo comes up to a guy and you see him and he has a knife. He stands up behind him and the guy's like, "What the heck?" And he's only see Rambo. The guy doesn't see it and he kills him. That goes back to if you read Neil Adams, Daniel Neal's Batman with the Demon Head, the first Ra's al Ghul. Batman's climbing on a hill on a snowbank, and the guy says, "Oh, he must have fell." Batman comes out of the snow behind him and just grabs the guy.
Warfare there, yeah.
I love it. that was before Rambo.
I'm gonna challenge Jason Statham here, and I know that any serious martial artist
to check
like Amy, what's
chess,
that like?
Right?
What's that?
You gonna challenge him to chess because that's as he's doing.
I'd beat him at chess. But here's the thing. I'm going to challenge, like Amy Johnston listens to our show. I know that. I think Scott Acantz even's commented on ours before, too. So all the real people out there know the Extreme Movie Show is an action-based channel here. Here's my thing for you, Jason Statham. I'm going to give you the entire sole responsibility of your legacy in films to not be in a bunch of big movies and crossover hits and be that guy. I want you, Jason, to be the singular action guy responsible when we look back on your career to say, you know what? love him, hate him, transporter guy, whatever. This is the guy that successfully brought Ninja back to the movie mainstream. And I'll let them percolate. I'll see how it goes. So anyway, there you go. Any other final thoughts, sir?
I'll just say that no matter what mediocre movie he does, he gets his money and he's banging Rosie Huntington.
And they're watchable movies, like you said.
Yeah.
Not enough.
That's the thing.
Not enough.
Yeah.
This visually, this is a bit more appealing to watch, I think, early on. It's a good film.
You know what I compare his career to? Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson's just cooler, though, man.
Charles Bronson had some good hits, more hits. I'd say that. But Charles Bronson, some of those movies, are kind of weird. There was one, I think it was not The Messenger. It was another one, like Rain or like something like that. It wasn't Purple Rain, but it was something like that. And like I said, he had some of those movies that were just out there. And it's like, okay, kind of drama stuff, but it's kind of the same things. Like, you're gonna get a lot of movies that are gonna be great, and then you're also gonna get ones that are dud. Unfortunately, and I'm not gonna blame it on Hollywood, because most of these movies are being written outside of Hollywood.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that is true.
I can only cringe because here's what gives it. That's what Hollywood's giving him. Spy.
Yeah.
Remember that movie?
Please.
Elizabeth McCarthy.
Please stop.
That's that. Yeah. Operation Fortune. I don't want Jason Statham in any comedy movies. The only comedy I wanted him to be saying is that he's laughing as he kills a guy with a knife. It's like lay off some steam, make him Matrix, make him the new Commando. That's what I want. Or I want Jason Statham just like A Hunt for Red October, or he's like some guy living like so we already got in the White House or in the Lighthouse. Let's have he's basically been living and he's been cutting logs and been living on this cabin, and people come after him. I want something like that, and he has to defend himself. I want all these fugitive movies with Jason Statham. That's what I want, because But next time, can we please have him just kill someone with a boat?
Yeah, we're just writing something. I mean,
he's done with a car, a motorcycle, a knife now, and pipe.
The problem with the fighting getting watered down and violence and seeing it trying to be creative is it takes away the visceral impact of how difficult it is, like getting in a fist fight, even somebody your own size, and how tough it is, and how you get hurt and winded in 30 seconds, and it's so unbelievable now, right? And it wouldn't be funny if instead of this big action movie sounding score like that, and he's revving the boat up and it's setting up for the guy's head getting hit by the propellers and we see blood in the water and a scream or something like that, and he makes some snarky comment. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if you just kind of hit him with the front of the boat in one long shot, we don't hear it, and it's just kind of quiet, and all we hear is a thunk like that? You're like, oh, that's different. or if they're in England, make the guy choke to death on his English breakfast or something, shove the bread and beans and a blood sausage in his mouth, and just make him choke on it while you're interrogating him. And then if he gives you any lip when you're walking out, take his tea and hit him upside the head with a ceramic cup. I'm sorry, I'm done.
No, that's all right. No. Yeah, it wasn't Strange in the Rain. I think it was Rider in the Rain. Yeah. Look at Charles Bronson films back in the. I just come across going there. I was like,
Valachi Papers is a good one we haven't done. He's done a few others. Chato's War. There's the boxing one in their 70s. I forget that, because some of these, we talk about, but we do other ones instead. We'll get to them eventually.
My final hot take for the night. And it may not be a hot take, but I think it is. So you've been warned. I have another hot take. I'm running hot tonight. Great Escape is not a good movie.
Well, some of your hot takes, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I mean,
well, I guess
think about what it is. It's a movie with a bunch of people in it. It's not led by one person. I think Statham can be great in those roles, and he can carry it on his own too. It's just
great cast.
Yeah.
Bad movie. And everyone dies pretty much for the most part, and it's all back to square one. Now, would I say it's as bad as the Meg? I got more joy out of the Meg. But that
Ooh.
and that's not a knock on the actors. I like the actors that are in The Great Escape. It's just that
Meg is trash, bro.
yeah.
Straight up trash.
Oh, the Meg is just camp fun.
Nothing fun about it.
Oh
Man, head locked in. Look at him. He's all over it tonight, man. Wow, that's pretty cool. All right,
yeah.
so ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, here on Extreme Movie Show Live, the young 20-something Professor Pixel and I will be continuing our Season 4 coverage of Columbo, the TV show. A first watch for both of us. Season 4, Episode 4. This one is on a cruise ship. I'm loving it already because we got the evil genius Robert Vaughn in there.
Robert
and
Vaughn.
He's such a prick. Oh, I love Robert Vaughn as a prick.
Robert Vaughn.
He
And
just
you know
looks
who's
like a
also in
prick.
there? The guy from the Avengers.
Yes, he's on there as well too. The guy that talks like this, and
He's
he was
the
in a
guy with the
bunch of
hat,
stuff.
wasn't he in Avengers?
Yes,
McCartney or Pat McKenney?
Patrick McNamee or Macney or something.
McKenney, yeah. I was reading about his life.
Real
His
deal,
dad was a total douchebag. You know, pretty much wasted all their money on gambling, their fortune they had. You know, so his mother forced to live with her lesbian lover.
Yes.
In the 30s.
Yes.
And a thing. So when people say there was no lesbians back then, you know, where they were outed, she was living in a whole house of lesbians. So yeah, I just kind of was kind of funny. I was like, dang. And I'm thinking like, you know, he had to call this Evelyn, the lady they're living with, call her uncle. And I'd be like, nah, I'm good. But yeah, kind of messed up family. But I never knew that. I was like, what the heck was going on in London in the 30s? You know, at least in the 20s and the 30s. But yeah, kind of irritated that there's no really advertisement on that thumbnail for Robert Vaughn and the guy from the Avengers on there as guest stars. I was like, damn. It's like that's your bait right there, you know. But
it'll be fun talking about it too. And then I know we're going to be continuing our season 1 coverage of Miami Vice on Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're on season 1, episode 4, I believe it is as well.
Yeah, yes, the return of Calzone.
Calderon.
I know.
God damn it.
The hit list.
Man. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Good night now.
Later, guys.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, Ed. It's nice to know that you're alive. You know you're in a sports ball comics on Twitter.
We've been asking.
You're in the same Twitter group, but you must not go on Twitter. Is that locked out? All right, later.